Guys, okay, so today we're covering 5.10 or section 510, which is systems of inequalities. So we're going to have a word problem, we're going to write the system, and then we're going to graph it, and then we're going to find some possible solutions that would fit that scenario. All right, so it says, suppose you buy flour and cornmeal in bulk to make flour tortillas in corn tortillas. Flour costs $1.50 per pound. So we have the flour costs $1.50 per pound. Cornmeal costs $2.25 per pound. You want to spend less than $25 on flour and cornmeal, but you need at least 6 pounds altogether. Okay, so we have our number scenario and we have our money scenario. Well, remember, what's the first thing we always got to do when we have a word problem? What are we letting each thing represent? So we're going to let X represent flour. So I'm going to put flour on the x-axis, and Y is going to represent cornmeal. And of course, that's the number of pounds. So we're going to write cornmeal on the y-axis. Okay, so now we need to write our equations. We have flour costs. That's talking about money, so that's going to be this one. And it says, so $1.50 per pound, $2.50 per pound, and we have to spend less than $25. So that means it's going to be less than, let me give myself some room here, less than 25. And what's going to make that up? $1.50x plus 250y. You don't have to write the zeros, but you can if you want to. That's not a problem. So there's the money scenario. Now I've got to talk about, well, the items. Well, we've got flour and cornmeal, so that's going to be x plus y, and that's got to be at least. That means the smallest it can be is 6. So it can be greater than or equal to 6. Well, I'm graphing, which means that these have to be changed to y equals mx plus b form. So that's my next step. I've got to rearrange these. So this top one's going to become, that's the easiest because I'm going to just subtract x from each side. And we end up with y equals greater than or equal to negative x plus 6. This next one involves a little bit more calculations. So I'm going to subtract the 1.5x, subtract the 1.5x, and we end up with 2.5y is less than, oh, don't forget the x, Kimberly, negative 1.5x plus 25. Now we have to divide by 2.5. And when I do that, we end up with, I'm doing 1.5. That glare is not doing me any favors, is it? 1.5 divided by 2.5, and that's 0.6, which is as a fraction. If I hit math, because I'm going to be graphing, so I need it as a fraction. Math, I want to change this frac, so I want to change it to a fraction. So I'm going to press enter, and this is 3/5. So I'm going to have y is less than 3/5 x, and now I have to do 25 divided by 2.5, which is plus 10. So there's my two equations that I'm going to use to graph. Now, again, I'm going to use 2 different colors when I graph, just so we can see the double shaded regions. All right, so the first one, the money scenario. Okay, and if you want to, you can label these as A or B if you want. It doesn't matter. Okay, so I've got, oh, wait a minute, that's a negative 3/5. That's a negative because that's a negative 1.5. You got to pay attention to those negatives. Those make a huge difference. So we always graph the y-intercept first. So I have that my slope is -1, my b is 6. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then it's a negative slope. And now you have to be accurate. So you plot as many points as you can. And remember, this is equal to, because it has the equal to bar. So now I have a solid line. And it says y is greater than, so I'm shading in this direction. Okay. And next, you could always make your arrows bigger. It really doesn't matter. I don't know why I made mine so small. Okay, next. We have y, so it's 10, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Then I have a negative slope of 3/5. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3 down over 5, down 3, over 5, down 3, over 5. And yes, you have to continue your graph, your accuracy all the way through, because you are graphing and you have to find solutions that fit these graphs. Okay, so this is less than, ooh, but wait a minute. That's not less than or equal to. So I just made a boo-boo. So what I do is I go and erase, because this is supposed to be dotted or dashed. I'm kind of glad I made that boo-boo, so you can see what you can do to fix when you make the same boo-boos. I know you're probably laughing at me now for my words. Here we go. So now there's our dashed line. Now you want to spend less than $25. Okay, less than, that means it's below, so I'm shading this way. So therefore, our solution is everything that's in here. Notice I am not going below the x-axis, and I'm not going over here to this side. It has got to be just the positive scenarios, because I can't have a negative amount of flour or a negative amount of cornmeal. Okay, so my solutions can be any point inside this double shaded region. So I can look anywhere. Got to be having one in here. So I could have I could pick this point right here, and that is at 2, 4, 6, 7 pounds of flour and 2 pounds of cornmeal. If I could spell cornmeal, that would be nice. I could also have this point right here, which is 3 pounds of flour. We are talking about flour. 3 pounds, yes. And then that is 2, 4, 6, 7 pounds of, oh, I didn't mean to flip-flop so much, but I just did. Notice it is just finding points in the double shaded region. Okay, here we go. Another example. I don't know if I'll go as much into it, but we'll see. All right, here we go. We're going to do number 2. Okay, a seafood restaurant owner orders perch and salmon. Perch is $4 per pound. Salmon is $3 per pound. He wants to buy at least 50 pounds, but cannot spend more than 240. Can he spend exactly 240? Yes, he can, but not more than. Cannot spend more than. Okay, so here we go. So I've got my money scenario and my number scenario. I'm going to let X represent perch, Y represent salmon, and here we go. So I'm going to have, well, I know it's going to be X plus Y is at least, so that's greater than or equal to 50 pounds. Then I'm going to have 4X plus 3Y. It can't spend more than, so it's less than or equal to 240. Okay, so perch is on the X. Salmon is on the Y. But one thing that I noticed when I'm looking at this is I'm going to have big numbers. So I may have to think about what I'm going to be doing for graphing. Just put that in the back of your mind right now. All right. So we first have to rearrange. Okay, so this one, I should have put this one at the bottom. This one is going to become y is greater than or equal to negative x plus 50. Ooh, I've got a y-intercept of 50. Okay, so here we're subtracting the 4x. And then we have to, so we subtract the 4x, then we've got to divide by 3. So we end up with y is less than or equal to negative 4/3 x, and then I've got to do 240 divided by 3, which is 80. Ooh, those are high intercepts, which means I need to think about what can I do to my graph. I'm not going to go by ones. I'm going to make my x and y axis go by tens. Okay, so go by tens on x and y axis. You can go by different numbers. It depends upon what your equations have. Because I can't graph ones. I don't have 50 spots. I don't have 80 spots. So I make my graph fit my problem. Okay, here we go. So now we create our graph. All right, so we've got 80. 2, 4, 6, 8. So that's 80. Negative 4/3. So down 4/3. Down 4/3. That's my ruler. And now we play connect the dots. And this one is y is less than, so I'm going this way. Next, we have 50, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. Oh, and it's just a negative slope. And that's great. Oh, this is a small area. So my solutions will just be in this area here. Okay, so we gotta find out some solutions. Okay, so I'm gonna find a point. I can pick this one right there. So that is 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. So that's 50 pounds of perch and 10 pounds of salmon. I could also have this point here, which is 10 pounds of perch and 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 pounds of salmon. Okay, you are to finish the notes and the homework. Have a great day.